I've been training naturally for over 25 years, and in that time, I've gone through more fat loss phases than I can even count. I've tried a lot of approaches, made a lot of mistakes, and eventually figured out what works through a lot of trial and error. Once I learned how to lose fat the right way, I got lean, but more importantly, I stayed lean. If you apply what I'm about to share, I can promise you it will save you a lot of time and frustration when it comes to losing fat and achieving the physique you've always wanted. For a long time, I thought losing weight and losing fat were the same thing. I can tell you from personal experience, they're not. And that misunderstanding cost me years of wasted time and effort. If you're chasing a specific number on the scale, you're chasing the wrong thing. The scale just tells you that you lost weight, but it can't tell you whether that weight came from fat or muscle. If you lose too much muscle during the process, you will just end up a smaller, softer, and worse looking version of yourself. The real goal should be to lose fat while holding on to as much muscle as possible. And once you make that mental shift, you'll never approach fat loss the same way again. What I'm about to cover ensures that happens predictably and reliably. The first thing you need to understand is that fat loss cannot happen without a calorie deficit. This is a non-negotiable. Most people either don't realize this or they approach it the wrong way. I spent years doing the latter. Every time I wanted faster results, I'd cut harder. And every time I cut harder, I'd lose more muscle, feel exhausted, and eventually just quit. Faster is almost always worse. And this is especially true if you're already fairly lean. The more aggressive your deficit, the more you're at risk of losing muscle and tanking your metabolism in the process. The deficit needs to be sustainable to get through the entire diet successfully. But before you can even create one, you need to know what your maintenance calories are, because if you don't know where you're starting from, everything else becomes guesswork. And the most reliable way to figure this out is by tracking your food and body weight for a week or two to find the calorie intake that keeps your weight roughly stable. From there, you want to aim for a deficit of roughly 500 calories a day. This will have you losing roughly 1 pound per week, which is the sweet spot for most people. Fast enough to see real progress, but slow enough to hold onto your muscle. Rather than cutting all your calories from food alone, it's best to split the difference between eating less and increasing your overall activity. This way you can eat more, which makes the whole process a lot more sustainable. If you decide to increase your overall activity, make sure to keep it low intensity. Not only does it promote recovery, but many people find it also helps manage hunger. Unlike high intensity work, which does the complete opposite. Even with the right deficit in place, most people still struggle to stay on their diet. And in my experience, it almost always comes down to the same thing: hunger. For a long time, I thought hunger was just part of the process. That if you were dieting, you were supposed to be hungry and you just had to white knuckle it. And I did that for many years. But I was completely wrong. If you're doing the right things, hunger will no longer be something you're constantly fighting. It will just become background noise. Protein is the single biggest lever you have here. Not only is it the most filling macronutrient by a wide margin, it's also the one that protects your muscle while you lose fat. Aim for around 1 gram per pound of body weight as a baseline, and there's no real reason you can't go even higher than that if you prefer. But don't crash your dietary fat or carbs in the process either. And this is something I learned the hard way. Fat is essential for optimal hormone functioning, so keep it above 20% of your daily calories and just eat enough carbs to support your training demands. The foods you choose also matter a lot more than people realize. Prioritize nutrient-dense, high-volume foods that allow you to eat a satisfying amount without exceeding your daily calories. Limit ultra-processed foods, reduce snacking, and don't drink your calories if you can avoid it. These habits alone will make hunger significantly easier to manage. Once you have your deficit and diet dialed in, there's still one critical piece you need to get right to make this all work. You need to give your body a real reason to hold on to your muscle while losing fat. Because the more muscle you retain, the more of the weight you lose comes from fat, and the better you'll look coming out of your diet. If you're not resistance training already, you need to start. Muscle takes a lot of energy for your body to maintain, and without a strong enough training signal, your body will preferentially break it down over fat. One of the biggest mistakes I made when I was younger, and one I still see people making, is treating their lifting sessions like they're meant to burn calories. I used to lighten the weight and increase the reps in an attempt to burn more calories. But what I was actually doing was removing the signal my body needed to hold on to muscle. Your lifting sessions are not where you should be trying to burn calories. That's what additional movement and cardio are for. Nothing about how you train should change just because you're losing fat. Keep your lifts heavy and keep them consistent. Your strength should stay roughly the same throughout the entire process, unless you've lost a significant amount of weight. If your lifts are holding, your muscle is too. The only adjustment you might consider is reducing your overall training volume. Recovery is naturally worse in a calorie deficit, so if your performance is suffering or you're not recovering between sessions, pull it back slightly, 25% at most, but frequency and intensity should stay the same. The last piece of the puzzle is objectively measuring your progress, because if you don't know if your plan is working, you have no way of knowing if and when adjustments need to be made to keep you on track. For most of my early dieting years, I didn't track anything. I was just going by feel. And going by feel is a great way to convince yourself you're on track when you're really not. This is where tracking becomes essential. Track your food intake, your body weight, and your lifts. These three numbers don't lie, and they take the guesswork completely out of it. Beyond that, there are a few other indicators that will reliably tell you you're moving in the right direction. The scale should be trending down roughly 1 pound a week. You should be looking leaner over time. Your lifts should be holding. Your energy should be manageable. Your hunger should be something you can live with day to day. And your mindset should still be in a good place. If those things are true, you're losing fat the right way. That's what 25 years of fat loss has taught me. The goal should never be just to lose weight. It should be to lose fat while holding onto as much muscle as possible. Create a calorie deficit you can sustain, because faster is almost always worse. Manage your hunger, because if you don't, it's the most likely cause to end your diet prematurely. Keep lifting heavy, because without that signal, your body will break down muscle preferentially over fat. And track what matters, because you can't fix what you don't know is broken. I hope this saves you some time and frustration. Subscribe if you want more, and I'll catch you in the next one.